Hello Moana Exiles, welcome to another Path of Exile 1 video. Now last night I spent a good 2 hours on my Twitch stream on twitch.tv/talkative building this bingo card here for the reveal live stream for 3.25 Settlers of Kalguur. We are just about a day away from grinding your games, revealing it on GGG Live, and lots of people are excited for it. This bingo card was a way for me to channel my hopes and fears about the expansion itself, because while I am a bit of a skeptic when it comes to PoE 1 expansions and a big hype man for PoE 2, lots of individuals are very hopeful that this will be a huge expansion to Path of Exile 1. So on this bingo card right here, I outlined a few of the changes, a few of the nerfs, a few of the additions, some of my fears and hopes, and I'd like to talk about a few of them here today. We're not going to go through every single line here on the bingo card, but I will let you know what I do if I will get a bingo here. I am going to play hardcore on my 12-hour launch live stream if I get a bingo in any way, shape, or form. Now, I've never played hardcore ever in any game at all, so this could be a huge flop. I could fail entirely. And if I do, I hope you are all along for the ride. I might go something super tanky, I might go something super offensive, but nonetheless, I am going something melee. So I'm playing hardcore and I'm playing melee on League launch if I get a bingo here. So lots of people are excited about the expansion, right? For many reasons. People think there's going to be a massive melee rework here. They've been hinting at ancestral totems falling over in all the teasers, being dead. Lots of people think that means they're removed from the game. Other people think it's just them reworking them. I saw an awesome idea from a creator and community member, It's Guitarholic, where they're turning ancestral totems into actual items that you can equip, like quivers for bows. So now two-handed weapons such as swords, maces, axes, now you can equip ancestral totems in your offhand, and then they are going to be reworking how dual wielding works for melee. That would be a substantial change. Hopefully something along those lines does happen. I am not as positive. I do think there will be a rework to melee totems, and I do believe that melee swords will see a little bit of balance alongside gladiator challenge changes, but I don't know if much else will occur beyond that. Of course, a lot of people are also expecting now that Trial of the Ancestors is going to return, and that's what the totems are hinting toward. I am also a fan of that theory. These totems were integral to the Trial of the Ancestors mechanic, and GGG do love to hide teasers in the open. Everybody may immediately be latching on to the Ancestral Totem rework for melee, while Trial of the Ancestors is the real thing returning here. You know, we've had tattoos in both prior leagues. They were available in Affliction at a much lower rate, and then Necropolis at a much higher rate due to the All-Flame Embers. I think that was GGG testing to see how much of an impact tattoos would have on the game if they were added as a baseline with the Trial of the Ancestors mechanic. Of course, the Trial of the Ancestors mechanic would have to change a little bit. It was a bit OP for leveling because you could just level in there, and if you died, you didn't lose any XP. I'm sure if they add it back to the game, there will be some balance changes, but I'm actually pretty confident that that is going to be added into the game. There are a few other nerfs that people are pretty confident in. I'm confident in one thing that's going to happen, and that's Detonate Dead being nerfed. I'm going with the triple tap. I don't know what the other two things will be, but I'm confident that one will have to do with Desecrate and how easy it is to create corpses. That's way too easy. It's too simple, and it's allowing people to generate a massive amount of damage with little to no investment. I'm also pretty confident that there will be more campaign additions, because that was one of the best parts of 3.24. Adding all those little secrets and nooks and crannies into the campaign, it helped keep the experience fresh, and it really added something to that playthrough and subsequent playthroughs. I loved seeing a Legion monolith in the climb. It was so cool seeing the Dweller of the Deep as an essence mob. Finding that corruption chamber in, well, not corruption chamber, the Locust of Corruption in Act 2. That's cool. A ritual in the Northern Forest. If they do that to Acts 3, 4, 5, and 6, or even Acts 3 and 4 for this expansion, I'll see that as a win. And that's one of my biggest hopes. It keeps the game fresh for veteran players, and it helps spice up the new player experience, introducing them to all these brand new mechanics that have been added to the game over the years before they actually reach Endgame, and they're blasted with all this knowledge that they have to learn, all this bloat that they have to learn about from prior years. If they're drip-fed it throughout the campaign, I think that's a far better approach. I'm also a little bit curious about Chris Wilson. This will be the first League reveal since the whole Chris Wilson debacle. For those of you who don't know, there was a paperwork mess up and Chris Wilson was no longer listed as being a member of Grinding Gear Games. He came out and he said, actually, yes, I am still a part of Grinding Gear Games. I am still a director here, pretty quickly on Reddit. But still, I'm curious to see if he will be on the live stream, if we will hear, hi, I'm Chris Wilson from Grinding Gear Games. Because last time he was a very, very, very small part of the actual announcement, and then Mark did all of it for PoE 1, and then Jonathan did a bit of PoE 2 here. Speaking of PoE 2, will there be any mention of it? Well, they were pretty clear that there will be no PoE 2 news here. However, I think that maybe they'll sneak in a bit of an announcement about ExileCon 2025. Now, this is me really sniffing in the copium, right? But it would be really cool if they said, all right, we're having an ExileCon in 2025, and it's in November 2025, and that maybe could be the aim for the official release date for Path of Exile 2. Because I don't think another ExileCon is going to occur without Path of Exile 2 going into its 1.0 stage. There's not going to be an early access ExileCon, it's going to be a full-on launch ExileCon. Another thing I'd love to talk about here, this is a hope from me, gold in the Settlers of Kalguur mechanic. What if this league is a way for them to test the auction house or a part of the auction house that's going to be in Path of Exile 2? We know that there's going to be an out-of-game auction house for items, and then an in-game one for currency. That would be a massive quality of life for a lot of players right now in PoE 1. Currency trading is a pain most of the time. There will be currency trading in-game in PoE 2. Maybe they found a way to get it into PoE 1 right now, and they're going to test it with Settlers of Kalguur. We're transferring a lot of resources from one place to another if we're settling in an area. Maybe they'll find a way to flavor it in that manner, and we're going to be using gold to buy currency or trade currency with other players on a pseudo auction house. That would be pretty cool, and it would be awesome leading into Path of Exile 2's early access, which is coming later this year. Speaking of Path of Exile 2's early access, let's talk about King's March. A lot of people have been speculating that since we are working with the Expedition NPCs, and the Expedition NPCs are present in the Act 4 town of Path of Exile 2, which is King's March, that we are building the foundations of King's March as a city in Settlers of Kalguur. That would be a pretty awesome tie-in, and it would unite the stories of Path of Exile 1 and Path of Exile 2 pretty firmly, especially since it's supposed to be launching its early access in November or December. Now, there's also another thing that people are very, very, very excited about possibly happening, and that is this expansion being more than just a challenge league. It being an actual end game expansion, similar to 3.9 Conquerors of the Atlas, or 3.13 Echoes of the Atlas with the Maven, or 3.17 Siege of the Atlas with the Eater of Worlds and the Searing Exarch. They think that this expansion 3.25 will be a challenge league and a major expansion to endgame in some way, shape, or form. Now obviously, I don't think it will be Atlas related if that's true. Perhaps they're adding in a brand new endgame system to go alongside the Atlas here with the Settlers mechanic. If it's some sort of island hopping thing, you could very easily reinvent the mapping system for islands. And maybe alongside that, there will be a new pinnacle boss. It's been a while since we got a new real pinnacle boss. I think the last big one was the King in the Mists, and he was very easy to fight. However, I think that this might be the time. Mark, I hope you took a break from making rad PoE 2 bosses, stepped into PoE 1 and said, all right, let's send off the PoE 1 only era with a bang. I'm going to make an awesome pinnacle boss to beat in Settlers of Kalguur. And alongside that, maybe a few cool unique items. Oh yes, unique items. New Tier 0 Chase uniques. I would love if this were to happen as well. This is a big hope. I hope that they add in a Tier 0 powerful, so It's very rare, it's very powerful weapon into the game. There are very few tier 0 powerful weapons. There are a few T0 weapon uniques, but they're not strong at all. I'm talking about something like Rakiata's Dance, which was added in Trial of the Ancestors. It's that great sword that sets enemy resistances to 0, or it inverts enemy resistances. Very, very cool thematic. I want them to do something like that for melee. Maybe slams in particular. This is going to be the quote-unquote melee league. I hope that they do something like that. It'd be pretty dang awesome. So as for a fear here, I'm wondering if this will be another crafting system of some sort. And people seem to be very tired about crafting in PoE 2, PoE 1, especially since the Necropolis crafting system was such a flop. Now, it would be kind of cool if they introduced a rune system, since we're working with the Kalguur, and they imbue their items not with gems or the like, they imbue them with the energy of the stars. They inscribe ruins or etch ruins into their armor and weapons, and then they capture starlight within them to empower them. That's pretty awesome, and maybe if they flavor it in that way as a crafting system like that, that isn't as complex as something like Necropolis, or tedious. I guess Necropolis wasn't very complex, it was just tedious. If it's not as tedious as Necropolis, that'd be pretty dang cool. Maybe it gives us some new wild modifiers or the like, or, you know, it's like an influence. I'd love that. Another thing that I'm hopeful for is the King of the Mists returning as a ritual boss and a nerfed form of that which was taken being reintroduced to the game. I know a lot of people think that it's very overpowered as an item, and it totally is, but maybe if they scale down the power a bit, it would make a good chase addition to the ritual mechanic, which definitely needs some love. When I was building this with Twitch chat, we were talking about new skills being added to the game. They gave it a 1% chance of happening. I kind of agree with them. Lots of skill design work is going into PoE 2 right now. I don't think new skills are coming into PoE 1 unless they're transfigured gems. There are plenty of transfigured gems left to make for gems that don't currently have transgem versions. Stuff like Heavy Strike would be an awesome example, especially if this is going to be the Melee League. I hope to see a few more added into the game with 3.25. Now, one of my biggest hopes, and one of the simplest hopes here, is brand new monsters being added into Path of Exile 1 with this expansion. I'm a simple man. I have a simple mind. I like seeing new monsters. It makes me happy. It's one of the reasons that I'm so excited for Path of Exile 2, and why I was so disappointed with games like Diablo 4. The monster variety in that game is extremely poor. And in Path of Exile 2, there's over 600 different monster types, and that's not including reskins. That's amazing, and with every Path of Exile 1 expansion, I always expect new monsters, and almost always I am pleased. In Necropolis League, there weren't any new monsters, that's unfortunate. With Settlers of Kalguur, I really hope there are a few, maybe some pirates to fight. I'd be a fan of that. I really would. I hope that's what they add into the game. I'm just looking over this bingo card one last time here to see if there's anything else that I want to call out. Any other major fears, any other major hopes. Besides Melee being changed in some way that makes it a compelling playstyle, I don't think there's anything else I want to touch on here. So tell me, Exiles, what are you hopeful for 3.25, and what are you fearful of? This could be the last expansion before PoE 2's floodgates open, and lots of PoE 1 players begin playing PoE 2 exclusively. Hopefully they're looking to go out with a bang. They've released so many different quality of life and major feature adjustments as teasers. Lots of people are expecting the Thursday live stream to be an absolute banger. If you'd like to watch it alongside me, I will be streaming on this YouTube channel and on twitch.tv/talkativetry. Go follow me there. We're having a lot of fun there. People enjoy the positivity and the hype. I'm going to keep bringing it. I think that's all for today's video, people. I'm very excited for Thursday's reveal. It's going to be a fun time. Make sure if you liked the video to hit the like button. If you want to see more PoE content, subscribe to the channel and hit the sub notification bell. I am on the journey to 25,000 subscribers and beyond. I need your help and support to actually reach that goal. It's going to be a big year. Lots of PoE 1, lots of PoE 2. Last Epoch, maybe some D4. We'll have to see. Anyways, that's all for this video. Talkative, Exiles.